The main goals of the first part of the project are collection, organization, analysis and evaluation. At first, we identify the dataset of interest collected from the official open data sites. Then we create an Excel file with some fields of interest of the dataset taken into account. In the analysis phase, we identify the gaps between the real and the declared data, and finally we evaluate the fairness using self-assessment tool. As a result of the first part, we have created a common data dictionary for the dataset of the 3 regions and for the national territory. Our goal now is to create a pipeline that starts from the extraction and scraping of data from portals and calculates its fairness through an automatic tool. Finally, the data will be represented in dashboards that show the results achieved. In MyScraper tool, written in Python with the use of beautiful SOAP library, we have to enter the link to be analyzed that could be a specific URL or a list of links from file. Tool is based on the analysis of the HTML code. It removes the markup and saves the desired information and the extracted fields in a CSV file. If the web page contains an API's endpoint, it can also download all the data resources available for the dataset in a single click. As mentioned before, fairness is a feature that allows to extract value from data and reuse it. Currently, fair data evaluation is done only with self-assessment tools, with questions that are often difficult to understand for people who are not experts in the field. Our tool instead allows an automatic analysis starting from the CSV file generated by the MyScraper tool. The output generated by the tool provides a series of results, such as the total percentage of correctness of the dataset, the total number of not applicable metadata fields, the total number of empty fields, and the percentage of completeness of the dataset. Finally, it also prints a small histogram with fairness value for the selected data.
In this first dashboard, we represented some important aspects about the openness of the dataset that we considered. In the first sheet, we represented the count of the dataset for every region, and as we can see, we focus on the region Lazio, Apulia, and Sicilia. In the second sheet, we represented the count of null values for the field author, and as we can see, there are still a lot of datasets without this information. This is important because if we want to reuse the data inside a dataset, we have to cite the source, and if we haven't this information, we can't do it. In the third sheet, we represented the count of the API availabilities for the datasets considered, and as we can see, the most of the datasets have this information, so it's easier to reuse the data inside the dataset. In the last sheet, we represented the null, not applicable or unknown values for the refresh rate, and as we can see here too, there are still a lot of null or unknown values. This is also another important aspect, because the more updated is a dataset, higher is the quality of the dataset considered. In this second dashboard, we represented other important aspects about the openness of the datasets. In particular, we focus on the different dates about a dataset. In the first sheet, we represented the null or unknown values about the last update. And as I said before, it's important to know the last update of a dataset because we need it to value the quality of a dataset. We have, for example, still 45 null values, but there is a lower number than the last update. Finally, we considered the release date and the creation date because it's important to have a complete understanding of the origin of the dataset. And as we can see here, we have more than 300 null values for the release date and other not applicable or unknown value. And for the creation date, we have also 50 null values and 5 unknown values.
In this dashboard relating to fairness, we wanted to show the fairness values of the dataset we have taken into consideration, especially as regards of the region of Lazio, Apulia and Sicily, which are the regions on which our study has focused most. In the first sheet, as we can see, we wanted to show the maximum and minimum on the total fairness calculated for each single region. Moreover, on the map it is possible to identify the count of the dataset for each region. As we can see, for the Lazio region we took into consideration 194 datasets. In the second sheet we have represented the completeness of the various datasets relating to the region of Puglia, Lazio and Sicily. By completeness we mean the completeness of the information provided for each individual dataset, such as information on the author or all the different dates taken into consideration and so on. In the third sheets, instead, we wanted to represent the average of the single values of findable in yellow, accessible in blue, interoperable in red and reusable in green. As we can see, we have quite high averages, but obviously they can all be improved, especially as we can see the one relating to the interoperable characteristics relating to the Lazio region, because the ideal would be to aim for ever-increasing fairness values.